Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Hey everyone, Simon here. Got a few things to talk about. A couple of them are funny, a couple of them are not. So let's dive right in. So the first is a little personal story on astrology and so forth. So I've taken a step back from doing astrology for myself, especially, but even also for others and public, because a basic rule in the biz is when Rahu Ketu transit a sensitive point in your chart, like the moon, the sun, and so forth, then that's a time when your judgment may be off. And so if you're in a profession of consulting, you have to pay extra care, but especially if you're doing it for yourself and for sort of selfish reasons. So I've taken time off from doing charts for myself and so forth. But a couple of days ago, Bitcoin fell. It was 45, it fell down to 40, and I thought, this might be a good time to long Bitcoin. And I thought about it, and I thought, you really shouldn't, just relax. But it kept kind of itching away at me. So I pulled a chart. I said, should I long Bitcoin today? And this is the chart that came up. Now, if you look at the chart, you'll find that the yogi is Mars, the duplicate yogi is Venus, and they're together. Mars, the yogi, rules the ascendant. There are some nice yogas here and whatnot. The chart looked more or less positive. I mean, we can always find fault and so forth. Well, we can find a lot of fault, but being under the influence, as it were, not alcohol, but Rahu Ketu, I thought, this looks like a good chart. I think I'm going to do it. So a couple of days later, this is what happens. Dear Siddhadeva, we are sorry to inform you that your margin position has been liquidated. So, and I put in the long at about 40, and the liquidation price is 39. And as it was going down, I thought, let me check this chart again and see why did because it looked good to me at the time. So why don't we take a look at this chart together? And this is a beautiful lesson in financial astrology, actually. So in this video, I'm going to teach you some of the keys to having launching something on a good date, or seeing if you have a good financial chart, or a business or a stock that you're interested in has a good financial chart. So this is a great case study. So the first thing, or one of the first things that I like to look at, because they're great shortcuts, because if you look at the chart itself, there's so many techniques, so many things to look at. You can always make a case for yes and no, unless it's one of these 5% charts that are very clear black, or very clear red, not good, or very clear green, good. So one of those shortcuts is to take a look at the yogi and the yogi point. So as I mentioned, the yogi of the chart is Mars, who is the ruler of the ascendant. That's actually very positive. Another great positive is when the yogi and the duplicate yogi combine together in the chart, as they do here. However, and this is something I actually noticed in the back of my mind when I did the chart, but for some reason, I'll explain to you why I overlooked it in a second. The Ava Yogi is Ketu. And of course, the ascendant is in a Ketu nakshatra. And I thought, oh, well, it's one of the trines of the Ava Yogi, and that's okay. It means it's going to go down first, and then it's going to come back up. And actually kind of did that, but it didn't go up very high before it plummeted. I was actually in a plus before it came back down. So why did it come down, and why did I receive this letter? If of all people should know better. Well, the chart reveals everything. The problem is we need eyes to see it. So one of the way to calculate the yogi is very simple. You add the longitude of the yogi point. You add the longitude of the sun and the moon, and then you add a fixed 96 degrees 40 minutes. The way to count, so that's already been done for you. And so you see the yogi point is at 0 degrees 30 minutes Libra right here. So when I came back and looked at this chart right now, like just a little bit ago, to see why is it going down? Because the chart never lies, guys. The chart is amazing. The way you calculate the Ava Yogi point is to go 180 degrees and add 6 degrees 40 minutes. And what you will notice is that this question was asked at the precise minute when the Ava Yogi point was exactly on the ascendant. So it's not just that the Ava Yogi is the ruler of the rising nakshatra. Literally, the Ava Yogi point was exactly in this, and I completely ignored that. I was too busy drooling over the yogi and the duplicate being together. Now, this will still play out, but this is also problematic because they're in a planetary war, so they're going to be distracted from this massive thing. So how does this help you? How does this help us in the world? Well, when you want to start a business, when you want to get married, when you want to make a financial decision, or when you ask a question like this, should I buy such and such? Should I, whatever. You want to do the opposite of what I did, so you don't get one of these letters. You want to have the yogi point rising and avoid the point that is 186 degrees and 40 minutes away from it, which I happen to stumble into like literally precisely. Okay. So that's the first lesson. Find where the yogi point is and try to put it in the ascendant at the time and place where you're starting a particular thing. Then it would be nice, as I mentioned earlier, to have the yogi and the yogi point together and ruling the ascendant. Then there's another thing called the part of fortune, in Sanskrit called the punya saham. Now you will notice that this part of fortune, if I had eyes to see back then, is exactly aspected by Saturn. Okay, yes, by Jupiter also, but you see the degrees of Saturn are literally to the degree, whereas Jupiter is 6 degrees away. So which influence is going to prevail? You bet, Saturn first. Now, will this go up eventually? Yes, it will. But first, Simon must get liquidated. And it was not a small amount. This wasn't a trifling amount. This was a significant amount that got liquidated. But I'm just amazed at how beautiful it is, just how beautiful this is. If you're a doctor, you have to dissect human bodies and you look at death in order to help save life. We have to look at the ugly side and let it inspire us to promote beauty in the world and life. So I'm looking at this as an autopsy chart of a bad call. Now I'm going to talk about Bitcoin and what's happening, why it's going down here in a minute. So hang with me here. But and if you're not an astrologer or Vedic astrologer, and this doesn't make sense to you, what I'm trying to convey here to the people who are studying astrology is how synchronicity works and how powerfully synchronous our world can be if we have eyes to see it. And again, even we, the astrologers, it's not only symbolic that I'm having to wear glasses because my ability to see has been reduced, particularly with this transit of Rahu and Ketu. But again, in another way, in another completely different way, Saturn aspects the part of fortune. This is a completely different technique. The Punya Saham is a whole different school of astrology than from the yogi and the yogi point, which is a Nadi system. This is a Tajika system, right? Completely different. And yet in their own ways, they both showed us, be careful, okay? So, and then there are other things you could say, well, Pluto and the UK, Upaketu and the MC, okay, that's more minor stuff. But these are two big things. So then how do we use this for the positive? Similarly, try to find a time when the part of fortune is conjunct Jupiter in the sky when you begin anything. How do you do that? Well, you can simply rotate the chart. So if I turn on my chart rotator here, my little rotator cuff, boom, and I can just start. Now watch this punya. I'm going to try to get it to Jupiter. It's going to take some finagling here. So punya saham. Where'd it go? There it is. Come on, punya. Boom, look at that. No, just a little bit more. Well, there you go, ladies and gentlemen. I just finagled it so that February 18th at 5:08 p.m., had I pulled this chart, the answer may have been different because now Jupiter, yes, they're in the 8th house, but my point is simply to illustrate that one can engineer a horoscope to an ideal time when things ideally should work out, all other factors being equal. Now, I haven't looked at the rest of what's going on in this chart, but just this one thing, we've engineered the part of fortune to be conjunct Jupiter. You don't want the part of fortune to be conjunct Saturn unless it's the ruler of the ascendant or the yogi. We also don't really want to conjunct the sun because then it's considered combust. You don't want the part of fortune combust either unless the sun is the ascendant lord. Okay, so I'm throwing some little tidbits here at you, and this is stuff that works. How do I know it works? Because I test it. Same thing in gambling, in sports prediction. You know, I bet on stuff. I look at techniques, put money on them, see if they work, and when they don't work, or something else works, you know, I try to find the principles behind it. So this chart is an example. Now I have to close this chart. Do not save the changes and now open it again. Okay, so here's the original chart. Is this making sense? I hope this is making sense. So to summarize, we use my failures and my you know, disappointments so you don't have to make, and my mistakes actually, so you don't have to make them. Always plan something when the yogi and the yogi point are in a good position rather than the Ava Yogi and the Ava Yogi point. All right, so don't be like Simon. Now, this is part one, a little tutorial. And part two, let's take a look at why things are going down for Bitcoin, what the hell is happening. And again, I apologize, I used the North Indian chart. I guess I cannot bring the South Indian up at the moment. So apologies for this video. So at the moment, what we have in the sky is the planet Neptune, who is hanging around a little too long for anyone's good. Let me find my cursor here. Apologies. Yeah, so Neptune is right here by transit, and he's exactly at 27 degrees and 55 minutes at the moment. So he's exactly opposite Saturn, which is in Bitcoin's second house. This is creating, now Neptune-Saturn combination is bringing dreams into reality. That's actually not a bad combo, but it starts off bad. It starts off with a challenge. It's like any movie, any cinema that you've ever seen is a Saturn-Neptune thing. Why? Because Neptune is the illusion, the ideal, the hero's myth. But Saturn is the machines, the lenses that capture that on a physical medium and then project it. And then you could say there's light involved. So, you know, it could be some other stuff, Venus and whatnot. But the mechanics of putting dreams into reality is Saturn, Neptune. So people who have Saturn, Neptune in their charts over the course of a life, either conjunct or opposite, over the course of a lifetime, have battled to put their dreams into reality, to manifest and realize an ideal onto the screen of the world. So So in the larger sense, this is not a bad time for Bitcoin because it's showing what the problems are. So for example, some people, Canada wants to freeze Bitcoin wallets, other places, there's all kinds of craziness going on. But that craziness is FUD, fear, uncertainty, and doubt, which is what Neptune rules. And the challenge is there is no such thing as a good movie that doesn't have a challenge. The hero, the protagonist faces a seemingly unsurmountable obstacle, and they fail at first. But then, and that's what gets you to care about them. And by the way, that's why a lot of movies stink today, because the hero just has to go, pew, pew, and then 10 people fall dead, and that's it. Like there's no problems for them. There are no great antagonists in movies today. Anyway, I'm this side of 50, so I can talk about the old days, whatever that was. But the antagonist humbles you at first, and then you learn to solve the problem and prevail. So this is Saturn Neptune. So guys, by the time Neptune leaves this, unfortunately, he's taking his sweet ass time. And I mean, it's a little painful to watch, but by the time Neptune leaves this opposition, there will be a manifestation of one of Satoshi Nakamoto's original dreams, making Bitcoin a type of currency, making it even more legitimate. How? By at first threatening to destroy it. This is great drama. And this is why, in a good movie, you're on the edge of your seat. Oh my God, no, please don't kill them. No, please, right? If it's some comic book superhero movie, you don't care because they're going to win in the end. There's no tension. All the good guys are going to look great. They're going to, the hair's fine, whatever. The laws of physics don't apply. They get smacked down from 1,000 feet in the air, fall on the ground, then they get up. So there's no laws of physics. Anyway, rant aside, in the real world, this Saturn Neptune thing, actually, you have to face real opposition before you can manifest your dream. And I really do think this is what's happening. Now, what does it mean? How can it manifest? Bitcoin becomes a currency in yet another country, or some regulation is laid down that at first seems restrictive, but then actually helps Bitcoin by clarifying rules. I don't know. Neptune is very difficult. Neptune rules the oceans. And if you fly over an ocean, you can't see to the bottom of the ocean, right? It's dark, it's blue. So Neptune keeps his secrets well hidden. But ultimately, the treasures are there, and Saturn-Neptune conjunctions or oppositions tend to manifest dreams into reality. So my overall Bitcoin stance and prediction is unchanged. I do think that by this May is going to be crazy this year. I think we're going to have, I don't want to make any predictions, massive predictions. I've done that in the past. It's going to be a challenge for those to come true, but I think $100,000 Bitcoin is around the corner within the next 4, 5, 6 months, certainly. I hope I don't have to eat those words, but if I do, then I'll go back to the drawing board. I am okay with with admitting that I was wrong, as long as I've done the research properly and done my thing properly. And so this is why I'm sharing this very chart that I did a couple of days ago, February 18th. Today's the 20th. Should I long Bitcoin? I thought it looked good, but as Bitcoin started coming down, and it did, it actually went up at first, then it came down. It went down and then it came up and then way down, right? So, and then upon closer analysis, I found the very obvious things that are, the most obvious being the Ava Yogi point exactly on at 7 degrees in the ascendant. So anyway, like I said, that doesn't change my outlook for Bitcoin. I think the outlook looks good this year. We're bound to have a run up. It's just a matter of when. And I do think it's probably this spring, April, May. So let's hang on to our seats and go, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, what's going to happen? It's part of being in the Maya, part of being in the movie, right? This is all the movie we've chosen to watch. There are other kinds of movies, right? Some people like horror, some people like comedy. This is some kind of thriller that we're in right now. And it sometimes it's fun, sometimes it's just stressful. So, all right, that's it out of me today, guys. Thank you for indulging me in this little sharing. But I hope you understood the lesson today. And if you did, you can apply it to your own charts in your own lives. And also remember that the overall lesson, when Rahu or Ketu transit certain sensitive parts of your chart, refrain from personal selfish use of your own talents. So if you're a lawyer or a tax accountant, try not to cheat on your taxes, right? If you're a lawyer, try not to lawyer things for your own benefit, because it will come back to bite you, because you're probably not seeing the big picture. Also, finally, with Rahu transiting the star Algol, check out the video I made yesterday about that. It will cut your head off. And cutting your head off means you lose your head. A person will not reason properly when under the influence of Rahu on Algol, especially if they have placements there, right? Their sun, their moon, ascendant, Lord, Dasha Lord, whatever it may be. Okay. All right, guys, that's it out of me. That's it for today. I hope this was useful, and we'll see you in the next one. Namaste.